ye dika yenchia utie foni ahwefo nyina
betie fo joso
na sina waka no endra solidaridad for workshop bi lecture actually na empenifo kakra bi bai na on be cheche o madwen a efa Ghana amambo ne ho omo na omo say protecting Ghana's democracy into his lordship former member of the Supreme Court Justice Atukuba na Obabeka Saye na ocheche nyima bebremu ocheche na dwen about how the judiciary is here and how amambo no any judicial contribution towards your democracy no echo na senior okay no or say with particular reference to Honorable James Achikwesi in case no and I'll say decision of Supreme Court no na ensheda enkoye papa na ono na adwimo no or say once a case no high court no na it determine on particular merits of case no nanka ancestor Supreme Court no omodi omonsa omodi omano etu case ne mu
no friend res judicata no
res judicata et non quata move Latin enti no ono adwimo no and dane kwan so and I yes for NDC no it's one position we've held from the very beginning of case ne started say to be frank no the fact say omo pan court to kwapo no nanka ense say ebanesa because before your call elections no as at 7th December 2020 no na papa no nensa ka renunciation certificate no and according to Justice Atuguba or say justice as a tool no esi yehu say ye de ye adepa na wo hwe case na how a case ne koye no as at the time papa no all contesting for constituency election no na okra certificate no so there was no need for the Supreme Court to state say papa no ye ni free parliament na ye san konkoto ne swaba abia ye go 2 years no ye na ye ni bibia de ye ko see ye or san kofa na konwa sa and to be very honest with you me the whole thing about Achikwesi case no na I say nyame esi ne hene na wo si wo kotu no ade so me danwa san este na san si ekonwa no so bio wo na wani mu egu ase and to be all in all honesty the yenshida yenim the exact angle na NPP abai no on be say omode ye case nefa because it was obvious say their only mission was how to get more seats in parliament and the weakest aid that they thought they could find was Achikwesi, which unfortunately for them no anko banesa end of the day no say agano you sankoto ne swaba no o sanding kunim o santi ne konwa so still court case no ego so may follow recent about omo case this month or the last 2 months mom so I can't be very specific on where exactly their cases in the court but as you already aware no sa case nagasa no egusu wo court a omudi ho asem
at the end of the day case in that so court so the pronouncement we make here just like more a lawyer for to mo na yes they within the ambit of the yes discuss na yenko beyond that Benisia menko amransa Krobia mo case in res judicata achene de na musa de ko so
in Ghana we believe in the rule of law said the okay no they come
rule of law and now you justice remsai and one wo kwakwa kire me rule of law yanko
metia Ghana for share no pay na mentia me kuruma kiasefo na mentia ye party from national chairman era general secretary the BC party directors na mentia Ghana man panyin na na danko akufu ado na bedi akire and all the presidential aspirants of our great party minia ye nyina etikuruma Yewura Achikwesi nkomo ayedi enye ne shase all the facts about the issues any renunciation ni sanema ya kan but you see there's a particular posture of NDC for a worried because assembly favor almost said kafa assembly and favor almost said kafa. So most of the time, no, it is difficult to even understand NDC position on a particular subject. As a double standards, hypocrisy. Yet ya court elections. There have been series of court incidents after elections. NDC for case no moving, we know what they say about the courts, the judiciary. Omukwana Omantimian produce enough evidence. Now assembly we know the things they say about our courts. But I believe personally, I feel that yes, if you believe in an institution, your confidence and your trust in the institution should remain intact. You should know and say you had a bad case. In law, there's a bad case. You get it. But you should not pick and choose. If you have how you describe the court. And favor to go back or Kasama they are almost helino, man, all kinds of adjectives. Obeka Sayananka, one Kasama and favor man Ketikruma and some NDC for Besakafano. And you should buy Papa almost the same free home. Yera Jechiquis in Ghana, a constitution can take for tour, very clear. Why the qualifies with me a comrade as a member of parliament. The guidelines, conditions, they are clearly spelled out. And a year significant woman is a Okatachi will qualify to be a member of parliament in Ghana when you do not owe any allegiance to any other state apart from the state of Ghana. Then the question again is as at the time Ayura Jachikwesin contested the elections of Winnie in 2016. Now the allegiance to Canada and not fully processes. This is a simple analysis here. Now, when you make a declaration of intention, it's a process. We renounce citizenship with another country. It's a comprehensive process I will be follow until the time Ubenya certificate of renunciation. Now, I face ampa. Ayonkofa announced a relationship between you and that particular the said country, has come to a successful conclusion. You are supposed to be issued a certificate of renunciation. So the unilateral declaration of intention is not enough. And Ghana Amran say as at the time I used to be open nominations.
You must have gone through all the full processes.
Exhausted the process, not just
that is your understanding of the law.
No, that's the position of the law. Unless otherwise,
position
anybody
of the law
else,
on the Supreme Court your understanding of the law. So fine,
Supreme Court ruling. The ruling by Supreme Court in itself is even a law. Supreme Court ruling
that's true.
It's at the end of the day, Supreme Court a passive ruling now. We as citizens of Ghana, we have the right to even discuss the ruling, but you were a limit, you were a threshold. And I'm glad to say you are an experienced journalist. It will be go beyond the threshold without me reminding even. Case and the case is still pending at court. It will come be out to me pony, but go into the rare case now. And I'm glad to say we'll draw in your attention. So at the end of the day, I personally have no issue with Ira Matugubano or Chile. And when it comes to the loss of Ghana, I think it's a studio or a penina what Dimwa. But you cannot pick an aspect of the issue. No about the kind of study without forgetting the genesis. Baby, you free bar. You Rajachikwes in any renunciation certificate November 20th, right? And they start elections processes October. So what is the point here? What is the point here? It's been the question woman said he had a platform, he said what he wanted to say. At the end of the day, court to know the independence of the court is intact. He has gotten opportunity to once serve in the highest court of the land. It will free say be a court to know any that is fine. He can register his displeasure and answer any disappointment. But what we are saying is on the particular issue he referenced, which is in the issue of Mr. Jachikwe Senedie. So because a court was even wrong to sit on the matter, I personally also disagree with him.
The beauty of democracy.
And him say, "Oko judicial system now court to be an holding. Your friend jurisdictions of the court. To me, a court to be our. Some of the court has appellate jurisdiction, others don't have.
Original jurisdiction,
which is virgin jurisdiction, others You get it? Into a system. Asama magistrate court with me international. Asama court of appeal with me international. Asama Supreme Court with me international. And the question is, Supreme Court Asama or High Court no more international. That's the first question. Do they have that jurisdiction to sit on subject? It is before the High Court, another subject, even is above the High Court. Okay, so personally, there's nothing wrong with it. And as to say, now will be too a good idea. The processes, and this is not the first time we are triggering the process. There's a precedent. A deeper to obey you will be. But any sense, any panel funny, your papa, the Musa Kandi, no one MP. And yet, I did share the consequence to obey you. But when he was caught foul with the law, he had and the law took its course. So the fact say, you tested the law with you in we are talking about law. Law is law. And at the end of the day, we'll be on say, MP now would no Yama Winnie and Ebemawadi. Yes, MP now would in a choir of us to be parliament and offer Kotipanso. One Faganam Rasso. It's Ghana.
These are the issues before the court for determination. Before
the court. It's at the end of the day, court in the person all kind of mandate to determine whether or not said the any yana yet. Court in the assembly as communicators, all we can do is say, but the argument cry, what is our knowledge in law? As some subject matter, no, do we have enough knowledge to even contribute significantly? It's another thing. But the poster of the NDC say assembly, they don't pick the issue objectively. When it is about Adiebe favor, there have been several occasions that Ubabo NDC chief say, they will release their people on you, attack you. What now can form the Okatechi is the best journalist. That is the behavior of NDC, and it's so worrying. When there's a national subject, they should see it. This is a national subject. It's not everything in the politics.
Mamira Benjamin Sian so the politics in the eyes of Krobia and now obey nationalistic in the eyes of Krobia. Ben, Yanante.
Kwame.
Yay.
I think that there's a problem with our law in the Constitution of Ghana. Because abribia ubenya conflict of thought in the interpretation of the law. No, that law cry problematic. So I think that this particular law, we need to revisit it because yanya animdifo akesifo mienua akukuda momoye adwuma was Supreme Court with varying positions on the same law. It means that the law is problematic and we need to look at it as a state. Now, I also think that say make argument on this subject matter. I will say you differentiate between what happened during Sakende's time and what happened between during Jesse's time. We have Sakende time now. Or no, oko parliament krano. No da sukrane dual citizenship no. No da sukra odi tukwan. So tukwan ya opa. Na odi ne UK's passport atukwan. Openso na odi Ghana passport. So which means even in parliament he was still a dual citizen.
So there was no intent to renounce the citizenship.
But Jesse's case there was that intent. There was that intent, and you see, maybe I'm not a lawyer and me call law for, but you see, any interpretation of the Supreme Court becomes a policy, and that has a burden on the state. And this is now a lawyer, which who said they say will be a law, but if you are there as a judge, I'll be far drain. You need to look at the economy, because a dream be interpretation be it has consequences on this particular economy. Yanko Jasi casing, for example, I think not on the basis of law, because I'm not a lawyer, but I think on the basis of policy and rightful thinking, any Kwanzaa Supreme Court,
the Supreme Court is mandated by the law. Say obeshe emrano, and oshe mranoa. He doesn't judge with the carnal knowledge of Eye Obiase, economy. What does the law say? That is what they look at. They don't look at any other thing. They look at the law.
Kwame, me, I always tell you, lawyers, you are always subjective. You may think, you wait, Mark, I say, look at law, but there's a lot of subjectivity in the most of the interpretations you do. And based on that subjectivity, if you are policy oriented, now who resources will be wasted, you don't go in for that judgment. At the end of the day, he has won again. He's in parliament.
You think they should do that because of resource?
Yes. Me na yeti papa uso nkume esu abrochire say niska. Oh no, don't go that way. Don't go that way. Man na mbokro no. Onya pepa so peso beso many mind. And there be a meka the internet stars here say even the interpretation when there is a conflict interpretation say we see or dream say and this particular subject matter no there are a lot of interpretations. Lawyers na divide kwame crime say okra opposition. NDC lawyers dream say NPP lawyers dream say be a Ghanaian lawyers crowd be dream say odwin ko other side NPP ni beka so NDC ni. So also odwin ko other side NPP ni NDC ni beka so we NPP ni. So there's a lot of division in this particular interpretation. Until I say problem no. Because even how to define allegiance, I have a problem with it. Because allegiance, no intimate now who physical say you owe allegiance. You Ghana for Motia Munye Ghanaians. They have Ghana card, right? They have Ghanaian passport. They do everything in the name, but they are not Ghanaians because they are taught. It's not a Ghanaian thought. So allegiance, I have a problem with it. And this is no intent. Say or no per se or renounce. So now we start the process. Now before election. Ebebano na fully ni process na ba ma oye Ghanaian and sa na okọ election ni mu a I don't see any justification for you to see say law is present. What is even law? Law is based on a morality and ethics. Law na mo ka no eye nipa kuo bi adwen a omo dwen any standard on person mo te o ma e govern ye nyina ma ekoyi.
Is it not the reason tie ni kwasi ye makwan say ye hyehyɛ mmara ni wi a obi a nso ye de wo pɛ.
It is also the reason our law is not static.
It's until we've changed it, then you cannot say say you tum say abedru baby. Now sa renunciation of citizenship no. We must change it. May I have a problem with it? You may have a problem with it. Somebody else may have a problem with it. But until such a time that ye nyina ebegia tum say afedie yasesa emmara no. Then I don't think we can do anything.
Until such a time that the Supreme Court applies common sense its interpretation, no. Oh, bet na say it become a law because say even if they make a pronunciation and also make interpretation, it becomes a law. So if they had used common sense, a policy-based orientation.
Supreme Court doesn't use common sense.
Oh no. You see, there's also the difference between common sense and law.
There's a clear difference.
No, but sometimes law is common sense.
But there is a case I think we just read, Salah versus Attorney General. There was
Wait,
one.
I will even read it.
You will not read it.
Yes.
There was one justice of the appeals court then, Justice Suwa can say, when you are dealing with a constitution, you must look at the spirit in which the framers of the constitution wrote everything with. So it's not just about reading the letters, but the spirit behind the letters. So when you go to court on matters like this, they want to understand why the framers of the constitution place certain provisions in the constitution.
And let me tell you the reason why. I said it somewhere. The reason why issues of allegiance came in the 1993 constitution, 1992 constitution, was a time where we were entering into a democracy.
Okay. Led
by maybe a revolutionary leader. And this leader didn't want at that time, say be a CIA and other maybe MI5 or MI6 or an other secret KGB and others to infiltrate our system by sponsoring candidates Anomuti Abruchiri. Because at that time, no, be an obiti Abruchiri or person betu Chamarolens. And also person contest Chamarolens. And also person contest Chamarolens MPB. Ye man sa kwan ne man because at that time there be a US and I said Britain and I said be a Russia bit ma funding a lot. So betu ni paninti enfanshe. But in here say even the US yenya Indian. UK rather. Yenya Indian. Indian ye prime minister UK. Uko Trudeau, people even trace Trudeau's ancestry to Fidel Castro. Canada. So why is it that ye Ghana for no yemfa adwen emma lawyer for mo say mu use common sense, so I get you. But yemfa adwen bi ma say regardless of baby ote. So ye Ghana ni nko a o pepema o man so obedo o man abe adwuma ma de. Ye mombe adwuma e mo man. Say ye be gina say ka say chinchina law I have a lot of problem Kwame with sending a position of law in this country. Because most of the interpretations of our law do not make sense, to be frank with you. Do not make sense. They didn't even and support the masses. Where the stress people are going through just to get registration. Stress and come just to get voter card to come and vote. And someone says they say law. If you apply common sense, at least there will be stress-free voter registration in Ghana. Until I make us Kwame. mo de say mo say mo dawson na no me who graduation be say 1,000 a year and mo broso
kawasem
nti mo dawson ba nti mo de mo nurse mra but yesre mo ba bi ye kire mo ade ni nyina no any ba bi se mo fa adwen a law no eye because ye nyina na ya bra say ye adwuma. But I think your interpretation, you must look at other critical factors than only the law. Because the law no kwa there be an ubeti. And our more just case in case because they how much did EC waste? At least EC should come out and tell us how much they wasted in a send off. So
you think for economic purpose we should overlook the law?
For economic purposes,
one day somebody where will do something different and you will say economic purpose. Overlooking the law.
It's not say economics and common sense. Robbery is a different case. Killing is a different case. But for obi so benya pepa, ubu atenya. For not doing no cry, see the team so onya pepa no because the man renounced. And different from second case no madikaka. Second case ne dia sama no kura passport mienu ni nyina o. Okona se okope UK US visa na mo mana. O say o Ghana ye ma wa na the UK die no ko. Because him say UK die no betima ko ba bia. But this man renouncing at the time o ko parliament yes we ni nkra no. Na onye Canadian. Oye Ghanaian. At the time o ko parliament no. Yes we ni yet no even the day aye to aba no. Ayi no kwame ye to aba na yi ni. Say onko si omanemu no no oye fully Ghanaian, fully 100% Ghanaian. Nti sa okotena ho na o hwe case ni ani so a law no de mu na makosua e wo se mu di so but eya mu mfa nchen kakra nka ho na mu de nchen kakra nka ho ube hu say no interpretation no and that is why because of some mfa nchen kakra nka ho no Atuguba has a problem with this particular interpretation, right? I'm
sure he gave judgments that people had problem with it as well.
Yes, I know. He gave, I think 2016, like 2012, 13 or so. There was a problem with his judgments. But Enya Tugbankwa, I think the other judge who also spoke yesterday even had a problem with this particular interpretation. There are many people at Azan in US.
Professor
Kwakwasari has a problem with it. H. Kwasi Prempe has a problem with it. There are many people who have problem with this interpretation. It means that Salo no krano obsolete. Inti yanyi flu nanka mani beji. Medimanu nanka mani beji say send your lawyers mo kama sem ne say interpretation by the Supreme Court even becomes a law. Nka sabre no. Nanka waso mo ye no law mayen. But at least because of historical content, we send the Moka said they cannot change it. No, many Akrobia said they can't change it. Almost they went back to their thought and still maintained it and made Ghana lose a lot of money, causing financial loss to the city, which I think they shouldn't have gone that way.
Benjamin, a thought to know say for economic purpose.
I agree with Mini and I say rather no, you should rather put it say there are a number of our laws they have overstayed their relevance.
Which needs a review.
We need to, and these are entrenched clauses, like entrenched positions in the law.
Aspect of the law.
Referendum
you don't just sit in parliament and do enactment. You need to go through the people and just go.
And I agree with you. There's a particular law in India, but our law in interpretation in India. And yes, time Jerry John Rollins say, but no person NPP for web reaching to me, Magana Hammer contest.
That is it. Only me agrees. That's it.
No, but one can say, CIA for CIA. He did that deliberately because no one person NPP for be a teacher because we know in this time NPP were in opposition 30 years. People were developing their career overseas near day. So deliberately, somebody be share one who say a bit affected at a point in time. No, oh, but you against it. So I Parliament pa NPP and himself going to be to me to no katachi. MPBS Ruboga. It is a and the people are also in the initiative process. No, they are not willing to do. And they are many MP. No, met me. I MP. I will not even initiate the process because Boga be what you have I wouldn't say the Ankrata.
On a neka crebi or
the Supreme Court. Supreme Court necessary.
Kwame, who say Ghana Hanankasano Yambra be a conflicted because we have a dual citizenship law. I am man call for legal aid to hold other nationalities. Now, between NDC and NPP, ye na your branches outside Ghana in the diaspora. Your members be equal dual citizenship. About fundraising idea, we are depending on them to bring us resources. And so you're the same way, and the DA against the same and say you can't come and serve in public office because you have to denounce your citizenship before you go for an elected position. So it's something that is a law I see because in favor, in fact, in favor. No, that's the reality. We say as society,
you think it has outlived its purpose?
Relevance,
And then my position on this is that there are certain positions in public office you shouldn't hold dual citizenship to hold those offices, like National Security Coordinator, Chief of Military, EC. Those positions, your loyalty must be 100% to the state of Ghana, President, Vice President, Chief Justice. But there are, but there are other and then MPs. But there are other positions in public office. It can be allowed that freedom, so you can hold. Because on the advantages and the disadvantages, positions be when I say critical information now when you access to national security issues you should not hold dual citizenship. But other social you may be a connection to be input to be a banner who bet to be hold this connection how they pay baby papa more man. It's the idea I say you settle it properly. Now precedents as Supreme Court I said this is you almost say I just say before the elections you must settle on your renunciation processes before you come for the election.
You must have gone through it.
You must have gone through it. Who say countries be a process they can take even 2 years. The decision to go to parliament, some people take it at the spur of the moment. If you are community one, or much de nyobia, no ma fre, e ja me sa oba no wa money no a doctor no. In the heat of the moment, it's all taking a decision. It's been time so Ember.
I mean, it's good to put
that.
The most important thing is that
no amount of times I see you are a tough woman. I mean,
Madam Nasi, catch us I'm a cry. I'll not the imagine. What for me? What is and this NDC's position? What is most important is that as at the time you went to the polls, were you fully Ghanaian or not? And if it is settled that by the time that you were put forward for people to vote for you, you were 100% Ghanaian, then it settles the matter.
Okay, Angel 102.9 FM. Benjamin Siam, a key point to be said: the Supreme Court should have move away from the precedent now Cuomo, but with the little knowledge I have in law, you probably be paying curium when the court does not look at the existing laws now or more and make any ruling which does not conform with the existing laws. Those rulings, where time can be departed.
Interpretation of the law rests in the bosom of the judge.
But the judge cannot tenasiana while we're making any decision. When they make decisions which does not conform with the existing laws, the next ruling of the Supreme Court or anything will depart from that. They will depart from that ruling, which is paying curium. And a lawyer for Latin Casa. And I say, "One Shembrano," and I said, "You so bad law." Now, who cover Uber and only use a year access bank for card, Nefetia. Now, be 30% discount, free 30% discount, 30% access bank, more than banking. Mrantiano, ye one way away any tree of we. Far phone, never game packy, no could be, never could you tea. Once we trade, we here. Cadna pen was a manager, baby is a one or more Cadna, file phone number star 946 hash. Next select 4 numbers from 0 to 9. Nedibi, Neja say a year rough when they say, who have a margin. It says Sika Bekrum, game pack adaroma, Sika more mula, yepe mula, and ye game pack, yepe mula, and ye game pack, yepe mula. Back into the studios with me, Benjamin Sia. Krobia Sante, and Gabriela Tete. Ben, any other matters?
The other matters, and they say, Kwame, not me who saw call if anything, Akosumbu. I think I saw a video.
You call Mepe
area, Arehosem. And you can say between you. Now, Kwame, send you him Ghana idea. Yes, we echo radio so Kasai. Also, the be how ye. Bia dachi ko lawyer no be judge mai bawo dachi wan ko lawyer still be radio adwuma die the next 5 years the AC o mapeno ye besa betena aka ho asem bi because we are a country yensua hwe in free mu yensua hwe sometimes I'm worried say yeni anim difo ana ebiana say engineering no dodo na mpe say mu nyina mo ye law nti we will interpret some of these issues at the court. But Kwame, on a serious note, I think that on my no ebra so say ye use your name before. The echo so akusumbo no. Sanka e might be a sebi enya didi atem. E might be a yedwin nka ye benya pre planning of this particular event because ye be simulations, right? The impact of this particular event, you know, on your friend is saying the citizens around
so much set committee
may say but to be frank with you, me pe committee are the politicians and the setting up committees, right? Me pe because from experience, you know, yahu interministerial committee on mining or something later in the report yahu di akosi inti committee be the chief of staff ye di hwan be I don't like it, yeah? And that is why Osajefu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah on penasem krana, that is why at their time they established the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Arts and Science ni juma die kese anke wo say di ni say e de Ghana yanim di fo ni nyina be hia ho. Na se Ghana nya asem a yakọ ho pool no mu akoyi o maba no ma solve your case amaye. But ne we don't even fund it. The auditorium no ye de show keke. But that was the dream of Osajefu because assembly bar e will say nya nim di fo no mo solve problem ne maye. Enya politician, ye ma politician kra ko kasa ho asem because the moment a politician be ko akọ ho asem no, na the seriousness of the matter ye dia ko politics. President ko kan say o man to amani, the ko matter na nkrofo no ho kire omo no, ya jai eno asem o. E na president so man to amano, e na president so motoma no, e na president kan ye, e na kan ye. While the people are suffering. Nti me sa politicians I do committee no, any ministers no, from experience, you know, they've not helped us in this particular government. But Kwame, me say ko he Nadmo. Unim say be peme de ko na Kwame onkrofo no bi ko Nadmo website. Nadmo has not posted a single image of what is happening in Central Tongue or South Tongue or North Tongue.
North Tongue constituency.
Omon post to one picture ba ko he, omon post to Hamas ni BBC. Hamas ni Israel. Hamas it is on their website. The last time Nadmo posted something of this nature on their website was around May. And no crown of simulation and also mkoye ma peno omukoshia Marriott. And omuche yisika ni dio and omusori kofi. You can go to Nadmo website and check. So it tells you that even the institution Nadmo no crown, it also needs some innovation, rethinking of because Nadmo has
serious
no, but they will say mom is serious. There's so much serious because the two yenuanum okotie bi no wan say oh and a bit to Libya for no crowd mu Ghana nkrofo and a bit to mu Libya for the air to renchem we nya to renchem we boapayo e baye no you knew Kwame e baye you knew say ubie dime na spell up what spell up no e be hanipa
but say baye kasa ne
no Kwame baye no me mama da bia mama kan asem bi kire me o si baye nche se waku obi ba se wadwen obi ho adwen bone kra na baye
eti
bia adwen bone because no Kwame,
it's not that
it is that serious.
You don't do that.
No Kwame, see, let's be frank with our conversations in Ghana because the more we are frank with some of these things we get the solutions once and for all. You knew we were going to spill o spill ya ebenyan sunsuanso oni paso na wa she that spill Abra Bui, your colleague in Bui, they did this gradually. Bui for no air and gradually. Oh, share that spelling boom. And if nipa now we are say maybe chamo mattress, ma located 20 million. If you are taught well,
I did a more yes, Jumano.
Someone dream say nipa no like they don't care. And then Ghana no your problem they say people think they are elite and they are upper class, so they don't care about the masses. Until the masses ne obewu I don't care because anka odria I didn't know Bui for no corner systematic or one corner systematic. I'll call the boom. Which before year you best starting up Metro for the signing warning signs about so there will be a lot of rainwater this year. And so better kese. And so better kese also be a more planning unit, emergency unit, more all the unit you pay them huge sums of money. at least people should have thought. Oh, Kwame and Komodianka we see.
And they be.
Ebayi, one dream, Obia Odin, no, Obia Odin, Oyonko Hadrin Boni be Bayi. No, but me fancy Kwame. Assembly is serious because people are suffering. People are suffering. Now, yeah, no one on Crawford Chiromono. As at now, I was thinking that I can be declared state of emergency. Because at that area, no, we don't only need doctors, so we need psychologists. And yet doctors say omobesa cholera ne wine mu. We need psychologists. And I'm glad yesterday I saw say AGI almost heard the impact on SMEs. Because Nkrofo alusu omujatri. Ada ankam nekranum, I want us to evaluate the impact on food security. Say miani ebedi that because area omodo. E hunsun so anso be jenne say ne bo be kosen. Na yetimi assess all these things. $20 million now they can Kwame and crying so. Ntina make us say your maya Kwame adwin. Maybe if you had costed o cost to say nka obe con systematic. Now cost to sika obe waste. Any compared to say scanners say waste na nka bia onko
enso no mu nim se ebeto bebrese na wo mo fok Matthew for forecasting no enso ni to boom ana ejese boom canvas no ye say dam no so ye beboka o
Kwame o kasa say ya say school na yakono yakwagu so o kasa obi nim say enso no beto boom and assess ya as a school no yakwagu now that bia na VR for no bia na o person che so school no mo koguye. That is what you want to mean. And that there how many say you see people classify this as a disaster and I say then I don't disaster no mean ni twi ba we nya
to yerenchem
e boapayo enipa ye bayi
krobia adi asemwan
the kind what has happened to the people of Votane, some part of Eastern region. It is one thing say we be our abadaye now common sense. You wouldn't like to play politics or joke with it. We are talking about 7 districts or even 9 districts. They have been displaced. We are talking about a situation children, women are seriously affected. So being a political communicator, I will not even take delight in trying to do the normal politics with it. But then the question is,
normal politics with it.
Oh no, sir. I mean, as a politician, you always place emphasis and I say sometimes objectivity no nyajuma. I mean, it's a fact.
Okay.
But we are talking about the livelihood of human beings like Enipa and Wansam Nayeka. Now you raise a very important question. Minuani should not paint the picture as if say VRF no, they didn't do anything. That is not right. It's not accurate. In May, there was a simulation exercise. It was even dubbed Dawohosu 2023. In some part of Asujamana down East Mepe, on downstream of Pong any Akosombo. Exercise from September, within 15 days, statement Ahodo Makumako 4 was issued on this same exercise. And I quote, on 5th of September, authority issue a statement normally alerted the people, say this exercise will take place because considering Metro Cross issue statement, Edeba say downfall no. The downpour will be serious. On the 5th, VRA issue statement. On the 12th, VRA issue statement. On the 15th and on the 20th September, the exercise took place somewhere October, right? So it is not as if say Enkaibobi Ankoso. That aside, VRA officials, any NADMO officials have visited some of the communities to even engage the communities ahead of time. Now, Okatachi, near Asina na yedi hun komona ase yede sobo ni nyina ebo VRA no. The omuye yen was some way somehow a necessary evil. As of mine, we had a choice to choose between compromising the integrity of the dam as against protecting lives and properties. Of course, so far, in our report say nipa say in a free one answers.
Dam ne betimi abu ya mia.
And dam no ebu fa so a eno so nka lives bebree would have been lost. Apart from the economic effect, which would have been adverse, and because Akosomo Dam alone produces 120 megawatts of power. And we know
120,000
megawatts of power. And Katachi, we know. So, and if the Akosomo Dam is compromised, you need the effects.
Compromise
say or how be at Champion or how be bana dam into me was say ya yenim nsunsuanso ebenya wo yen mine so economic activities because no you one of our major source of power. It we should not paint that picture say or you should tell me say abroni bay something like that. And me many problem with it. I mean me no say assembly mu orema I am nipa be emotional, so I understand him. Many problem.
Now we're running up.
But Katachi, it's in the ambassador making and say, Enya Buapaye, assembly by no so for about 20 million cities. Osha are buying effort and commitment are buying. I might agree with him. Say buying a form committee no, and you can say be a politicians. Even me and Kasakra say committee. I did not see health minister. But there have been health issues, and there was a health minister to me continue. So then I also feel saying I will be to say the regional minister from the region, because most of them common air cost in nation AC or also should be part of the committee. If he's calling, say we should allow even some civil society for being independent people. I don't have a problem. I agree with him. But the military say nobody can underscore the commitment of government when such disaster is by. As for the mischief, any idea about president's statement and any other, the people there, they knew the discussion they had with the president. So you can choose to take the president out of context and do politics with it. We don't care. But Nkrofua Okatachi omo hona nim se asemi ba no o man panyin na Danko Akufo-Addo nye omu and omo fresh and declare state of emergency ni ade no. I mean state of emergency on what? Because issue nearby, you know. Oshe apomdi consensus wo oshe enipe wo omu school kwani ade oshe omu akoni abadi all the necessary efforts ni na no aban putting measures in place. So far go there, put your cameras there, the people there will appreciate on be dear dance say asemi to woman even though you're unfortunate but Ghana man panyin na aban enya omumu. We have the right, we can call on other corporate bodies say omomra me support me, but I personally disagree say declare state of emergency for what?
I read Gabriela Answagi. Gabriela from
10 minutes now can I media.
Sir.
Aye, Miss Amador. May other matters and yeah, Akosomo, but since I'm Abano, Yabaka Huasa, you ran a topic back when I had this wow, why my Yanka Huasam, judgment that's no. Why my Yanka Huasam, Neja Akosomo, what can make Akosomo that make a judgment that's not seven in account. Okay, say a case as a president declare state of emergency. The Queno and a Ghana for Akacha and Akufo-Addo. And Akufo-Addo na ban on the Queno, almost so betty because Omo Manka saw margin or margin also can and a chachia. We have a problem as a Siano, we call Volta region. But issue no a greater Accra, Eastern region, Volta region, OT for airport, Northern Volta, Bebois. And Savannah region. It is now a problem in 7 regions. More Ministry of Information and what's my by press conference, interministerial committee, the whole country, you got native, interministerial committee. Another no show, ambassador. And then, me heard this person now say, me who say interministerial committee for no, by press conference, Fatina be address a press conference. As my Fatima Kayana, a summer at a public domain mudada. Or say it's a siano, the only news not back adding to no information on the buyer and say Siano. Omuyam was a siano, do 40,000. As at last week, near them 26,000. And there times and then when in me, a paper name will say 40,000.
No, numbers may reconcile me.
Aye, 40,000. Say Omano Maka. Only new addition. Report on McMayen. Oma Seti of call center. Oma Kwacha public toilet 40. or match 5,000 solar lights. Ministry of Agric at the $40 million for farmers. No. VRA at the 20 million cedis. 20 million cedis here convert here $1.6 million. 7 regions, and as I say here, 40,000 people.
7 districts or regions? Regions, not districts. Regions. 40,000 people, and a Hiambua will poultry $1.6 million. No, and then a bay. Committee na most of my back at China, no, Conumti committee no. To date, Yenim na moye. Okasa, I say health minister, Eka committee no, Kwame. I am health minister, Kwao. Minister for Gender and Women and Children, as well as committee no. Minister for your friends health should be there. And then aside these regional ministers, or before some particular 6-7 regions, you know, there's your friends saying, what share the quantum of degradation